The mud soaked her blazer before she even hit the ground. In those 3 seconds of falling, when the laughter of students echoed like thunder in her ears, Miss Aradia Weston understood that this wasn't just a bad first day, it was a deliberate humiliation. The world seemed to move in slow motion as her palms splashed into the wet earth, mud streaking her skirt, her sleeves, even her hair. She heard someone yell that she didn't belong here, that she didn't look like a teacher, that she should go back to where she came from. It was daylight, the sun high above the school courtyard, but the shadows around her felt darker than night. She slowly pushed herself up, the mud dripping down her suit, her heart pounding. The new teacher was already their target, and they hadn't even learned her name. If you believe that kindness, respect, and second chances matter more than hate, please take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with others, and subscribe to Always Kind. Aradia walked across the courtyard, trembling inside though her steps were steady. Every pair of eyes felt heavy like daggers thrown from a distance. She reached the staff restroom without speaking, the coldness in her bones climbing upward. She rinsed the mud from her sleeves, seeing streaks of brown wash down the sink like melted paint. She stared at her reflection in the mirror. Medium dark skin, sharp eyes, tightly braided hair, and a scar near her collarbone she rarely discussed. She had spent 8 years training in silence, 10 more teaching in poorer districts where she wiped desks in empty halls and ate lunch alone. She had dreamed this new job would be a fresh start. Bedford High was supposed to be different, but the first voices she heard here told her that she didn't belong. The school bell rang, the shrill sound slicing through the quiet washroom. Aradia stood tall, smoothed her blazer, and walked toward her first class. Her heels clicked against polished floors like a heartbeat, returning after a long pause. Students whispered as she entered, some giggled openly. In the front row sat Eva, a shy girl with hazel eyes who stared down at her notebook. Beside her was Simon, tall and lean, trying not to make eye contact, and near the back sat 3 boys who looked like they owned the air around them: Duke, Caleb, and Xander. Their smirks were the same as the courtyard. They already recognized her. Duke let out a slow whistle as she began writing her name on the board. Xander coughed loudly, calling her imported. Caleb muttered something under his breath about how teachers shouldn't look like security guards. The room shook with laughter, and Aradia's hand paused in the middle of writing the W in Weston. She could have yelled at them. She could have walked out. Instead, she inhaled deeply and began teaching. She explained the lesson, pretending not to hear the whispering or feel those hateful glances drilling into her like needles. For most of the period, she pressed forward, her voice steady, her hands calm. And as she taught, something interesting happened. While the 3 boys tossed paper balls at the floor and exchanged jokes, Eva slowly lifted her gaze, captivated by the subject. Simon raised his hand to answer a question. A few students even leaned forward as she told them about how words can transform communities, how education doesn't just shape the mind, it redefines the spirit. Aradia had seen this transformation before. She believed in it, she lived for it, but she also knew darkness sometimes fights hardest when light begins to bloom. By the time lunch arrived, the tension had thickened. Aradia ate in the staff lounge, still damp from earlier. Other teachers greeted her politely, offering professional nods but nothing deeper. She overheard snippets: new hire, district transfer, strict reputation, and every word felt hollow. She left when the walls felt too small. Out in the courtyard, the sun warmed her face, trying to comfort her. She stood near a bench, watching clusters of students laughing, eating, trading energy like sparks. That was when she noticed Eva. The timid girl sat alone, her sandwich untouched, her shoulders curled inward. Aradia recognized that posture. She had carried it at 13, 14, maybe even 22, a posture of shrinking to survive. Aradia approached gently, careful not to startle her. Eva's eyes lifted, startled, then softened. They spoke quietly about poetry, fear, teachers who didn't understand her. Eva confessed she wanted to be an author but didn't think she was good enough. Aradia listened, truly listened, and offered advice without judgment. Their conversation was healing in small, delicate ways. A seed planted, a bond formed, perhaps even hope. But it didn't last long. Duke and Caleb saw them from across the courtyard. They approached with swagger, pretending to look casual. Xander followed, spinning a basketball. They circled the bench like sharks in shallow water. Caleb asked Eva if she was making friends with the mud woman. Duke snickered and suggested that maybe Eva was planning to become a mud queen. Xander flicked a pebble at the teacher's heel and waited for her to flinch. Aradia stayed seated, hoping calm would teach more than rage. She asked them to show respect, not cruelty. They laughed harder. Duke placed both hands on her shoulders and shoved her toward the grass, not expecting resistance. Eva gasped. Xander lifted his phone and started recording. If this story moved your heart or gave you strength, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Always Kind. Let others hear stories of courage and change. And before you go, please comment one thing. What would you have done if you were in Aradia's place?